Hi, John here, and in this episode of the Butterfly Formula, I'm going to talk about how curiosity breeds creativity. And instead of the other formats before where I was pretty much reading from the blog, I'm going to just share it as pretty much more my thoughts and, ideally give you something else beyond simply what I've written in there. Because certainly you can still read the blog and get my insights and stuff. And I'm really always interested in your comments and thoughts. But I think, what I'm going to do is just basically share some different things that's related to what I posted and just kind of like a little bit more meta or, kind of related thoughts, I guess, if you will. So basically, I joke about how I've always been a curious kid and I've asked lots of questions throughout my life. And so the thing is that we find is that over time, as I mentioned in the blog, that our creativity gets more and more constrained by what is expected of us. And this is unfortunate because at that point, we just stop asking questions. We just basically start assuming and rely more on that rather than questioning. Like one of the favorite questions of a kid is why, right? And they can ask that all day long. And I think the thing that happens is, either their parents get tired of it and just tell them, oh, just go play in the corner, or go ask dad, or just simply blow them off. Unfortunately. And I think that's really unfortunate because curiosity is such an important part of not only learning but also creativity. I shared the story about Brian Grazer, who I've written about before, and he's been inspirational to me recently with this book, Curious Mind, um, because he's built a body of work on this creativity, this yearning to learn more about not only other people and different stories, but just basically how each of those has gained and given him an insight into his own life. And I, just pretty much found it fascinating all the different curiosity conversations that he's had, and how that's inspired his work. And definitely that's kind of spurred me on to do more of the hangouts with different creative entrepreneurs and other folks that I just feel like have something to share with the audience. And then I talked about Walt Disney, who also again I've written about, and I've been reading up on his insatiable curiosity. Not only has it inspired some of his amazing work in film and the different attractions in the happiest place on earth, but also just simply as a way of like kind of what he calls plussing the experience, of basically always looking for ways to improve and always giving more value than people expect and delight. That idea that has been thrown around in the management circles. But he really was one of the first to really do that. Just as a way to differentiate, how the Disney way of doing business was going to be different from everyone else. And the last one I talked about is a recent find that I've come across is Jeremy Gucci, who in his Trend Hunter, he talks about the difference between the farmer mindset and the hunter mindset. It's something that I've realized, but now it's kind of become more concrete by the way he talks about how, the farmer mindset, which is really just kind of carried over into the industrial corporations and stuff, is about status quo, about repeating and protecting that status quo. And whereas hunters were always literally on the hunt for what's the next meal, and they were curious, and they were studying, and at the same time willing to destroy. So he gives the example of Ron Finley, who is this fashion entrepreneur that then turned his curiosity to just looking around him in the inner city there in South LA, and asked, like, what can be done about food for the people. And so next thing you know, he looked at all the vacant lots and asked the question, well, what about planting on those? And ultimately that led to his guerrilla gardeners, as he calls them, where they basically just, take that land, and it's not only about food production, but also building community. It's a really inspiring story, and I share the links to his TED Talk. But it's just another example of like just searching for things that may be just around us through curiosity. So those are some of the key stories I share, and really, like, I also talk about what kinds of things are needed to have the this mindset, and something I didn't share on this blog post, which is another reason why I'm making this video, and which is what I think I'm going to continue to be doing from now on, is John Cleese talks about, with creativity, the need to be open at certain times and receptive to possibilities, and other times being closed when you've decided on the course of action, and to want to bring together the creative ideas and making it take shape. It's kind of really makes a lot of sense, because no matter what kind of crazy creative idea and stuff like that, the only way it can be real is if it has some kind of structure and some kind of backbone to build on, whether it's a startup or an app or even writing or video. There has to be some kind of structure to it. The other thing that I talk about is the need to create space, and that's both allowing yourself the time and not pressuring yourself, because as even Cleese talks about, when we put that kind of pressure on ourselves, it's really hard to be creative. And it's like kind of different times, if we don't allow that, our curiosity would just basically shut down. And finally, I've talked about many times about surrounding yourself with, your tribe, the people who get you, the people who not only support your different curiosities and the different creativity, but also lift you up, that they inspire you. I talked about how everything from like the Impressionists to the classic period of music to the writers in the 1920s, these movements were just formed by these artists that basically supported each other, they inspired each other, they hung out together, and that's really one of the things I'm looking to do too. And so that's why I'm starting this Hangout series, and then I've recently started the Hangout Mastermind. So as always, if you want to learn more about any of these, I'll provide links to this video, and also as always, I also look forward to your thoughts and comments. So thanks for watching as always, or listening if you're on SoundCloud. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also again on SoundCloud. So you can also follow me on Twitter at JYCMBA. And until next time.